The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies known as OPEC Plus have maintained its gradual production increase by 400,000 barrels per day, a modest amount equivalent to less than 1% of global supply. OPEC Plus at its 20th OPEC meeting and a non-OPEC ministerial meeting reaffirmed its position to maintain the gradual output increase as the pandemic continues to inject uncertainty into the global economy. In June, OPEC Plus agreed to continue to boost output in line with the group's April decision to return 2.1 million barrels per day to the market between May and July, an adjustment which it said will take effect August and December 2020. In addition, oil prices are at comfortable levels, rising through much of the year as pandemic lockdown eased and economies began a boisterous expansion. To speak more, of course, deliberate on this and help us understand the impact on Nigeria's oil and gas industry, I have joining me via Zoom is the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of International Energy Services Limited, Dr. Diran Fawibe. Good afternoon, Dr. Fawibe. It's good to see you, sir. Good afternoon, Dr. Fawibe. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon to you, Tulu.
Yes, so I want to look at what happened at the last meeting where Saudi Arabia and UAE held.
I hear you. Good afternoon.
Okay, I said let's look.
Good
What's
afternoon.
your?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, good. Can I make my point now? Okay, Dr. Fawibe, I'm asking you, how would you react to the last meeting, OPEC meeting? It seems like everyone has agreed to increase production. So by next month, 400,000 barrels per day will be added to production. What do you make of this?
Well, that was following the agreement reached earlier in the previous meeting of OPEC, whereby 400,000 barrels per day of oil will be added every month in order to recover the lost, recover the lost ground for during the COVID-19, and this increase will continue up till May next year. That is about 400,000 barrels per day. There was consideration whether the OPEC will no longer go on with the increase because of the uncertainty, and especially the problem caused by either hurricane, in the United States, which caused a lot of damage to oil and gas facilities, particularly refineries, because about 1.7 million barrels daily oil processing was shut down, and this, of course, will lead to crude oil inventory, which is one of the things that tries to drive demand for crude oil. Because if 1.7 million barrels of oil per day is shut in because of this either hurricane, this, of course, will create a bit of problems for the oil market supply, and consequently, the price of oil will come down. But incidentally, the price of oil has not come down. Right now, the price of oil is hovering around $70 per barrel. In fact, in some cases, a period over the past 3 days, the price has actually gone to about over $71 per barrel, which means that the effect of increasing the production by OPEC has not caused any depressed market or any depression in the oil market. One was thinking that the problem of the hurricane Ida and the OPEC increase in production will cancel out, but we are yet to see any significant issue about the oil market. So we can now say that for now, the oil market will remain stable. In fact, there was a consideration that forecast that the price of oil will be on the upswing between now and end of the year. But it's still difficult to say precisely what is going to happen. and especially since COVID-19, especially in some states of United States, is still creating a bit of problem. But happily in Asia and in most parts of Europe, the COVID resurgence has not been there. So to that extent, the oil market will recover very well, and possibly the increase in production for October, and November until the end of the year will continue. Although OPEC conference will hold October 4 to review the market again and decide whether the increase will continue to be maintained.
But this, many are also worried about the Delta variant, which you've also alluded to. Many are saying this could, reduce demand for crude oil, and also Hurricane Ida that you've talked about 2 million barrels of refining capacity in the US has been shut down. Do you see any fear moving forward with the crude oil market?
Well, I think I've mentioned that in terms of, yes, it's about 1.7 million barrels per day of processing refining system that has been affected, by the hurricane. And if we look at that, it's a significant number for the that can have some adverse effect on the oil market. And if you combine this with the increase in production, you could expect that there will be some downward trend in the price of oil, but that has not been seen currently. So to that extent, we can be optimistic that the price of oil will continue to will remain stable, if ever not in the upswing that many analysts have projected. So we expect the oil market to remain stable for the rest of the year, hopefully. And then the increase of 400,000 barrels per day monthly that OPEC conference has decided upon earlier, will continue to be maintained.
Some also say rise in the price of crude might open doors for U.S. shale producers. That might be favorable for them. Talking about maybe $70 is even profitable for shale production. How does that come to you?
No, obviously, if the price of oil remains at $70 per barrel, we can expect that most OPEC countries or oil producers will be able to make profit on their operation. Because there are many producers who hedge, depending on the region, who hedge their oil price to be about $50 per barrel. Especially when you see some countries, some producers in some countries have it as high as $28, $32 per barrel production cost. If the price goes up to $70 per barrel, so it's like a bonanza, a boom for many producers. And even in Nigeria, for example, we know that NNPC has been the vanguard of reducing cost of production. It was being said to be about, they were aiming at about $15 per barrel. If currently it's about $22 per barrel or around $20 per barrel. So, and the price is going for about $70 per barrel in the oil market. So Nigeria can expect to reap some handsome profit, over the next few months.
All right, moving on. Now, I'm now looking at, is this more revenue? You've talked about that boom. Is it more revenue also for a country like Nigeria? We have a little bit of production challenge. Are we meeting up to even more than what we can do at this time? Is this more revenue for government, Dr. Fawibe?
That is the unfortunate aspect of the current situation in the country, Nigeria before that used to have potential to produce about 2 million barrels per day, and I think based on OPEC quota, Nigeria should be producing about 1.7 to 1.8 million barrels per day. But currently, Nigeria is producing something between 1.4 to 1.6 million barrels per day, which means that Nigeria could make for it will be better for Nigeria to be able to produce up to the minimum capacity, maximum capacity based on OPEC quota, and at times we even produce much more. And this is part of the problem we've been having over the years of not making investment, in the upstream sector. And when the politicians were playing games with the PIB, many people, experts of different angles, were emphasizing the fact that we need to maintain exploration, we need to develop production capacity, and so on and so forth. But as it is, we were playing fiddle when there was fire on the roof. So the point I'm trying to make is that we are at the cause of the problem we are having in the country right now, in terms of not being able to produce more. We should have spare capacity, especially when there is an upsurge in demand for oil. And that is at the point at which OPEC countries, could easily be called upon to increase their production. And like, for example, Saudi Arabia in the past used to produce up to 10 million barrels per day. And many countries used to increase their production when there is a necessity for it, especially when we have problems in many producing countries. So Nigeria cannot benefit from such upsurge in demand for oil at this time because of production facility problems. So we hope that we have learned our lessons from this, and now that the PIAs is in place, we will be able to do all that is necessary to ensure that we continue to invest in the oil and gas industry so that we'll be able to produce more as and when necessary.
Talking about the PIA, Dr. Fawibe, and the recent profit made by the NNPC, reactions have trailed this development. As a stakeholder in the sector, how does all of this come to you?
Well, everybody, every stakeholder in the industry, including yours sincerely, felt a lot of relief that the president has broken the jinx for signing the bill into law. And now we can gladly say that, yes, we are here with the PIA. Even though in some other countries, like Ghana, for example, their own PIA was done in less than 2 years, but our own took as many as 13 years. But now that the law is in place, every stakeholder will now try to find how it applies to their operations. For the IOCs in particular, they have complained bitterly in the past about the incentives, in the existing law not being there for them to make investment, and particularly the retroactive law that was to be passed, in the earlier version of the bill, but the new law has actually rectified the situation and has given confidence, to the oil companies and the upstream sector, and the fiscal incentive is now more attractive, both in terms of royalty payment as well as petroleum profit tax. So no IOC will have any excuse whatsoever not to make any investment, except the area of security. And given the fact that they have a lot of assets in the deep water, which are crying for investment, we hope that they will be able to put a lot of their investment in the deep water, which holds a lot of reserves for this country. When the director of DPR and the GMD where they were talking recently about meeting the target of 40 billion barrels per day, the 40 billion barrels of reserve. They knew what they were talking about, but this will come on the heel of investment in the deep water. And the independence in Nigeria, they are doing pretty well, and then the only challenge we face is security in the oil producing areas. And even the frontier exploration that is now being given another lease of life. We hope that all hands will be on deck with a view to increasing our national reserve, which by extension will raise the level of our producibility. To say, for example, 3 million barrels per day. And if the oil demand is there, we should be able to produce minimum of 2 million barrels per day.
All right, before I let you go, Dr. Fawibe, on a final note, yesterday I saw this in the print and everywhere online that price differentials is what is fueling petrol smuggling. We've had this issue of subsidy and, the price of PMS in Nigeria fueling smuggling. How does this come to you? How will you react to this?
Well, we've known this over time that, as long as there is smuggling, or as long as we continue to pay the subsidy, the mechanics is this. Nigerian motorists, the Nigerian consumers, are paying the official selling price that has been fixed by government, and the gap between the worth of the product, gasoline, in neighboring countries is so wide that if you engage in smuggling the product, you can make a fortune, from the smuggled product. So, and some people have specialized in this underground business, whereby they export, they smuggle the products out of the country. If, for example, the appropriate price is fixed for gasoline in this country, it will be less attractive for smuggling, because the price at which it will be sold here in Nigeria will compare favorably with what it will be paid elsewhere, where they are smuggling the price to. So what in effect this means is that the smuggling will be very much reduced. But government, in its wisdom, has continued to maintain the existing price level for a number of reasons, both political and non-political reasons, and then and subsidy is being paid. But I believe firmly that when we start to refine crude oil locally, we will no longer be using the imported price level to determine the price at which Nigerians will be paying for the gasoline in this country. In other words, the price at which petroleum products refined in Nigeria will obviously be less than the landed price, but we will then be able to pay the appropriate price at that point in time. So the price will certainly be more than what it is currently. And because when we make necessary adjustment for importation of products and all the necessary add-ons that usually come on landed price, there's no doubt that the price of product may be higher than what it is presently, but there will be a clean slate to be able to price the product appropriately, and Nigeria should brace up to pay that. Because when there is when we refine crude oil locally and we are producing sufficient volume of products in the country, we will not have any basis for to pay subsidy, because subsidy is paid on imported fuel, and there will be no basis for subsidy. So that is the basic thing. So subsidy will continue until probably Dangote refinery comes on stream, and then NPC refineries that are being rehabilitated, come on stream. So all combined together should be able to give us whatever is needed, whatever we are able to consume in this country.
Thank you so much, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of International Energy Services Limited, Dr. Diran Fawibe, for your time on the show.